All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order for the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Tuesday, June 23rd, 2020. Lonnie, if you would you lead us in an invocation, please?
Lord, as we bow, we just ask your blessings on our nation, all of our leaders, our local authorities, and Lord, all of the first responders. We just ask you to bless all of them. And we give you thanks for the people who have lived through and haven't been affected by the virus physically. And Lord, we just thank you for all these blessings. Lord, just watch over this meeting and allow us to conduct the services that it needs to be. Lord, these favors and blessings we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Mr. Shady, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very much. Next item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. Does anybody have any, is there any additions or deletions or anything that's come up in the last moments?
No, sir.
Does anyone have anything that they would like to input on this? Could I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
What is the agenda?
There's some copies up here if you'd like to grab one, sir. Here you go. We have one item on for this evening.
And so we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second.
What is the motion for, sir?
I'm sorry,
What is the motion for?
to adopt the agenda.
Oh, to adopt, okay, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
sir. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the May 26th meeting. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes and go over them? Is there anything that you need to, that we need to alter or change, or are we good to go? Could I get a motion to adopt the minutes?
Motion.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. That brings us down to the one item of new business that we have this evening. It is a public hearing. Request to rezone and annex parcel number JA 17012 located at 274 Robin Road, and parcel number JA 17011 located at 250 Robin Road to C2 into the city of Jasper. Mr. Douglas, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, and for the commission members and for the audience, staff received a request from the applicant who was looking to develop and has already begun developing some properties that are already in the county, currently zoned HB and RR. The applicant is desirous of rezoning and annexing these properties into the city of Jasper in order just to continue completing the project, which is for an equipment storage lot and for a possible future shop on the property. As such, staff did advertise this as a public hearing. I believe the applicant is here. We have done a staff analysis to evaluate the existing zoning as it is in the county and as it compares and compatible to that of the city. This is a public hearing, and I'll go through the brief analysis in just a moment, but we did run a corrective ad in the advertisement to make sure that the public knew that no final action by the elected body would occur until the July 13th meeting. So tonight, as a recommending body, you all will be conducting the public hearing, which just introduced the topic, and then the final consideration will be before the elected body, mayor and council, on July 13th. Originally, we had advertised July 6th, but in light of the 4th of July holiday, we felt it was prudent to push it back to the 13th. So nevertheless, once again, this is existing property in the county's own highway business and rural residential. The applicant has already begun grading. It is a relatively flat land. It's across from some additional city general commercial zoning. There is rural residential surrounding some of the property as well. It's at the corner of Robin Road and A.W. Lawson. It's behind the Bell Bonds place, or adjacent to, across the road from the Georgia State Patrol post. Staff did look at the highway business as it relates to the county zoning. What the intended use is being proposed is a permitted use in the county, and it is a permitted use in the city's C2. The one lot that is also being proposed adjacent to it, so you have one lot that's closest to the A.W. Lawson. There's the second lot. One is highway business, one is rural residential. They're proposing to annex both, bring them into the city limits, and then assign it to the C2 designation. They'd like to then combine the lot and make it one contiguous lot. So that is why it's advertised as it is. The rural residential is a zoning classification that does not allow equipment storage as a permitted use. So that in and of itself as a standalone parcel could not be utilized for that permitted use. We did analysis, you'll see in your report, that it does appear to be compatible with surrounding other land use. It is close to the 515 corridor. One of the recommendations that staff is suggesting that if this is recommended to be favorably received by this commission and recommended to the elected body for final consideration, that there are certain conditions that the applicant would need to adhere to. One of which was to ensure that the fencing around the property is adequately shielded and buffered from the road, as well as any residential zone properties near it. That the applicant will adhere to all the city's buffering C2 requirements, which is consistent with the county's requirements. So in essence, they would have to be doing those even if they did not annex into the city. They would still be required to adhere to those buffering requirements. And that if in fact the applicant does move forward, and if this property is one day annexed into the city limits, that the applicant would acknowledge and agree to adhere to any and all of the building standards and building codes with that of the city, and that the setbacks would have to be in compliance. So this is not one of those to where he comes into the city, has a future building proposed. We are recommending that he would have to adhere to the setbacks and adjust his building accordingly, and that any cost incurred with a sewer town would be responsible by the owner and applicant. So with that, I have no further comments, and Mr. Chair, if Lonnie has anything you'd like to add?
We got a few phone calls just asking questions. No positive comments, no negative comments. Just people want to know what's happening. Other than that, we've had no inquiries whatsoever to our office.
Is the applicant here? Is there anything that you wish to add to this?
I don't reckon so.
You're good to go?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is there anybody here that wishes to voice concerns or wishes to voice any comments toward this project?
I'd like to know what he's gonna build there.
Mr. Chair, if you could have the applicant maybe just come forward and just kind of reiterate kind of what your existing plans are, maybe future.
And as far as I'm concerned, you can turn around and talk to them if you want.
Oh, yeah, well, I wouldn't really build much, I just put gravel and parts and equipment there. And that's what I got in mind right now. And, maybe down the road, I might build me a shop or something, so we can do some work inside if we need to. That's about it.
Well, I stopped by there a time or two and they just said, there's no park equipment there.
And I talked to you, and you told
Excuse me a second, we need to go one at a time if possible, and if I could, get your name, please, sir.
Okay.
Paul Qualls, 203 Robin Road.
Thank you, sir. Do you wish to answer to the gentleman any further, or has he addressed your concerns, or do you have any other concerns that you'd like to need addressed?
Well, I just kind of curious, we were curious to what he was gonna build there, you know. Why he was wanting commercial.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
What's your noise going to be? You know, I've got rental property,
I'm sorry, can I get your name and address as well?
Kathy Hill,
Yes, ma'am.
and we own, straight across is 252, 217, 219, and then I got two more on further down, rental property, and I got to know what the, noise level's going to be, because one of my places is straight across from it.
Okay.
And can I add to that? Because we're thinking about moving back to this house. And what I'm concerned about the most, I talked to you the other day and you said that you was not going to build no building over there. You're not going to build nothing over there?
Not right now, but I don't have to.
Yeah, you can build it tomorrow.
I don't have to build
I'm not
it.
agreeing with you. I'm not going with you.
Yeah, I don't care to work out the parking lot, that's what we have to do anyway.
Well,
so-
work out the parking lot.
Yeah,
Wait a
it's,
minute.
Okay, well, I'm talking about working. Please address the council.
oh, I'm sorry.
Not, both of you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I was told the other day that there wasn't going to be no building put there.
Your name and address, I'm assuming you're
Yeah.
right.
I'm Littlefield. And the way I'm going to put this, and I don't care who y'all can keep me out right now. If you're going to lie to me up front, I'm not going to believe you no more.
I don't believe anybody's lied to you.
I was told there wasn't going to be no building put there, because I said, why you want sewage? Why you going to put no building over here?
Well,
That's,
unfortunately, sir, with you addressing him at that point in time, there, none of us were there or present to hear it, so it's a you said.
I'm referring to
We can't
him.
listen to
Okay.
everybody.
Yeah, I may have misunderstood you there, Cliff. I don't really intend to tie the sewer. I don't have no immediate building in mind. I'm sorry.
But I'm just wanting to know, the noise.
Well, what we do, we work out of town most of the time. I mean, if you don't know noise, we park our stuff there behind, was that Sackett's, I guess. I mean, we're not there in the evenings much at all. I mean, there'd be low boy or something come in and out, trickle, drop equipment off and in and out, but we don't work, most of our work's out of state.
And yes, I was told just to ask this and asked if y'all had checked into this. There was a reason that you had a place in Cherokee County and something happened, right?
I've been in Cherokee County, sure.
Well, they told me to tell y'all to check into this, that there was something went on down there and they didn't want you down there, is what I was told.
As a governing body of Jasper, what happens elsewhere outside this jurisdiction?
Well, I'm telling everybody else in here that I was told to check into that.
But if you're talking about a mulch plant or anything, I'm not gonna put a mulch plant in there.
Is that what it is? You put something in?
I'm just need a place to park my equipment. I mean, if I miss.
Y'all hear this?
Yeah, I mean, it's not big enough, number one, for anything like that, but if I misled you there today, I didn't mean to. I
They said that
apologize
you
about that.
misled them in Cherokee County too, so.
Cherokee County is not here, this is the city of Jasper.
I'm here. I'm gonna move, I'm fixing to move back to this house, straight across the road from this.
I appreciate that, but I can't what happened in Cherokee County does not affect me or
I'm
the city
saying-
of Jasper.
I'm saying I was told that tell y'all if y'all went to check in what happened down there, the same that could go up here.
Again, it's irrelevant
Okay.
to this process.
Okay.
I appreciate your input and your concerns. You said that, Mr. Douglas, that if he were still in the county, he could still do the same thing.
Yes, currently as it is, this is, as a process, the property owner, I call him the applicant, already has a permitted use to use the property as it is. So there's no requirements from the governing authority of Pickens County. As the city of Jasper, if he were to annex into our jurisdiction, what we're saying is the comparable land use would be C2 to the existing HB that he's zoned. So currently, it's not a rezoning. What we're doing is we're saying if there's a consideration to annex in, bring this into the corporate city limits, then what would happen is it is assigned a zoning comparable with the HB, which is C2. So we cannot govern if this mayor and council, which is the ultimate authority over land use, if they were to decide not to annex the property into the city, the owner / applicant still has a permitted use to use the property in accordance with the zoning of HB, highway business. And so there's a list of permitted uses they can do, and one of it is the equipment storage. So that could happen regardless of if he's annexed in at the July 13th meeting or not. So I just want to make sure that for the general public, for the commission, to know that what we're dealing with is not a rezoning. What we're dealing with is an annexation consideration, and you assign a comparable zoning with that of the county.
Asking the next question, knowing what assuming does, I'm going to crawl out on a limb and assume that the county has a more stringent buffer requirements than the city does, and that's why they're working on crossing over back and forth to provide adequate buffer for the adjacent neighbors.
And as a condition, we can ask the applicant to adhere to the stricter of the two.
Okay. And you agree to that?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know which one stricter of the two is, but I'm sure they.
But I mean, the application here is saying that you've agreed to the setback and the buffers and all that sort of thing.
I think they're about the same, is my understanding. I might be wrong about that, but yeah, I'm okay, I guess. I probably need to do a little bit. I thought they was about the same as the way I was told, but it's been hard to really, go talk to anyone face to face, all this going on.
Unfortunately, yes. It's our first meeting back, so we
Oh,
feel your pain.
Well, like I said, I don't want to be no bad neighbor to nobody.
Oh, I understand, I understand. Does anybody else have any questions or comments that they'd like to address to anybody? Yes, sir.
This letter I got is kind of misleading. Now, are y'all wanting to put him in the city limits, or is this going to be a commercial deal?
It's in the city limits, it's to be annexed into the city of Jasper.
When? It's not now.
That would be up to the July 13th,
That's right.
yeah.
And y'all are debating on what now?
Either to give recommendation for it or give recommendation against it.
That's up to the city council.
They make the
That's
final
not up to y'all.
decision, yes, sir. We make the
Y'all recommendation,
to
yeah.
them to say, yes, we
Yeah.
think it's a good idea, or no, we don't.
Well, are y'all voting on the C2 today?
The C2 goes hand
Commercial.
in hand with the annexation. If he's annexed, the city of Jasper and Pickens County has different classifications on their zoning. So what he is in the county, I believe is highway business, is what the property was, and they do not have a highway business in the city of Jasper. The city of Jasper has C2, and that is on the same plane as highway business, it just has a different name.
But y'all are wanting to put him in commercial tonight.
He's applied to come in to the city on annexation, and if he does do the annexation, then I have to give a category for him to come into. And the closest one to highway business that he's currently in with the county is C2. Yes, sir.
Y'all gonna vote on putting him into C2 tonight? That's my question.
We're gonna give a recommendation for it, then it goes to the city council.
Y'all the one that decides that though.
We don't make the final determination of the ones that are voted for are the ones, the city council is the one that makes the final determination.
The city council puts them in the city limits.
If they vote for it, yes, they will go into the city limits, yes.
And then you go into commercial.
It would be at the same time. He's commercial right now in the county.
No,
Yes,
he's in the city limits. He's not in the city limits.
No,
And he's not commercial. That's residential property.
he's highway business.
What do you mean highway district?
Highway business is a commercial classification for Pickens County.
Don't understand that.
Okay, one parcel is highway business, the other parcel is rural residential. So what he's asking to do is to be combined and come into the city as C2. And in exchange for that, what he is proposing to do is meet all the criteria for buffering, setbacks, all that sort of stuff to help eliminate any noise that may arise or to become a good quote-unquote neighbor. Highway business, he could do that right now in the county without even having to come into the city. He just needs the city for whichever reason he's chosen, I don't know.
Why would you want to come into the city?
Just
Because you
for-
can get sewer?
Potential get to sewer, that's really it, huh? That's all.
To have access to
Yes,
That was my question too. And why does he want to go commercial? If he knew anything on it right now, he wants to.
Yeah. I'm assuming he also wants fire protection and coverage.
Well, he's got it.
Everything.
He has it, I mean, so I'm failing to see the argument here if he already has all that and he decides to come into the city and to pay taxes for the city.
That's what I'm kind of wondering too, why he want to pay city taxes.
If he chooses to, I mean, last I heard it is still America.
He can if he wants to, I mean, that's up to him.
Right. Lonnie, do you have something, I'm sorry?
The only thing is, every conversation that this gentleman in our office has had, he has commented that he wanted to move into the city, and it has to be zoned that to get in under the same qualifications on that one lot. He has said from day one that at some point in the future, he might want to put a little office or a shop over, a little shop. If he does that, he wants to be able to use city sewer, which there's a manhole right across the road from this property, so it would be easy for him to tie on the sewer. And the environmental health, by sewer being right there at this property, would push the issue for him not to be on a septic system. And he would not have a septic system out in his yard where he's driving heavy equipment. And this is what the gentleman has told us every time we've spoke to him.
Right.
And so that's just the reasoning behind this, is at some point in time, whether it's this year, next year, or when, he might want to put an office and a shop over. If he does, he's going to need city sewage.
Okay. Yes, sir.
The C2 zoning, the way I was told and read up on it, it said that it was gonna give them a right to make louder noises up to 5 decibels higher than normal. That's what my biggest thing is. I don't need all the noise, because if I'm gonna move back there, if not, I'll just sell the place.
Right, well, if I'm not mistaken, and they may have changed it since I left, I was the director of planning and development for Pickens County. Highway business did not have a noise limitation on it, period.
And that's another thing. I mean, when did it become that? I mean, I know it has. Y'all said it has. but nobody ever told us that he was even going to that. How did he go to that?
What was that?
Commercial.
To the, what you're calling it,
Commercial.
To the highway business?
yeah,
I'll be happy to explain it to you after the meeting if you want.
okay, all right, I appreciate it. I never, nobody.
Basically, when they elected to go to the zoning route back in 2005, 2006, they gave everybody an opportunity to declare what they wanted their property to be. Basically, to keep them from getting sued into the stone age by everybody that would be assigned something. So if you liked what you were already, nobody called. If you wanted to change to something, you were afforded that opportunity to change it to whatever you wanted it to be when they adopted zoning back in the day,
At that time.
at that time.
You should have done it in the last couple of years.
In the last couple of years, you would have to go through a hearing exactly like what we're doing right now.
Joey told us that it wasn't that way when he owned it. I mean, I'm the guy that, I guess he bought it from.
Part of it is, part of it isn't.
Well, that's part that ain't, the part, I guess, the part that we're worried about, I guess.
Okay. Yes, sir, do you have anything? Does anybody else have any questions, comments?
Looking at this map, which parcel is C2 and which parcel is C2?
The one up against A.W. Lawson is the highway business currently with the county.
He says,
This is C2.
I mean, you can do the same thing now that you could do in the city.
We could put a concrete plant there if he wanted to, couldn't he?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's what we don't want.
Well, I mean, you know, in the county where he's at currently, there's no changes. Actually, the city has a few more limitations. Like you were requesting that noise in the county, I do not believe there's any noise restrictions, prohibitions or anything like that dealing with the zoning specification category like that.
And
So I mean, to a certain degree, you're better protected if he does annex in.
to y'all and to him and everybody, I mean, if they ain't no bunch of noise, I mean, it ain't gonna be no big deal to me, but I can't live there with a bunch of noise.
I got you. Anybody else have any comments or anything that they would like to give at this time? Having heard none, do I hear a motion one way or the other on this?
And to be clear, this is regarding annexation, not rezoning, annexation only. So I will make a motion that we annex this property into the city of Jasper.
Could I ask that you amend just a smidgen of it?
Sure.
And add the recommendations from the staff there on that last page to go along with that.
Following the recommendations of the staff.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Mr. Douglas, the recommendation is to take it to the city council with a favorable recommendation.
And just to reiterate, we did run a corrective ad. It will be considered on the July 13th agenda, not the July 6th. We will not be having a meeting on July 6th. It is scheduled for July 13th.
It's not on the agenda, but is there any public comments at this time? I think we've pretty much heard most of them. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion we adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your input. We thank you for coming to this meeting this evening, and we are done.